Hi, this is going to be part two of my RCHOP experience. And the reason is not all done at the same time as I wanted to know how RCHOP was going to treat me. So I did the first three infusions previously, and this is going to be the tail end. I'm Glen, and this is Glen's Hangout. So let's get right into it. So after the first three infusions went so well, I was so arrogant thinking, wow, this is just going to be a walk in the park. I'm going to be able to deal with everything and I'm going to get through this unscathed. Ha! Not a chance. What happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. I ended up coming into contact with what's called C. diff. And if you look in the video, you'll see I've explained it in full detail. It is the nastiest little virus you can ever imagine, and it hangs around hospitals mostly. It's available anywhere, though, free of charge, because the spores last on surfaces indefinitely and even on you indefinitely, or can, I guess, indefinitely until you can somehow get rid of them. And most people that come into contact with it don't have an issue. But if you're lucky enough to be in RCHOP chemotherapy or any chemotherapy for that matter, or you just don't have an immune system for other reasons, you can get it. What does it do? Well, it actually removes all the good gut bacteria that you have, leaving all the bad bacteria. And what does that do for you? Well, it makes sure that you get plenty sick both ways. So after my fourth infusion, about a week afterwards, I was on, as soon as I was coming down from my 100 milligrams of prednisone, I was dropping down to 20. And the second day, my heart went into AFib, well, primarily because I started vomiting and had diarrhea, blacked out, hit my head on the bathroom sink, then bounced off the toilet, hit my head there, ended up being black and blue most everywhere. My wife, total panic, freaking right out, calling an ambulance for me because I told her she had to. I crawled out of the bathroom, crawled onto my bed, and from there it just went downhill. So, ambulance ride number one. I'm in my 70s and I've never been in an ambulance, so that was not fun. Ended up in the hospital. I was bleeding profusely, rectally, and nobody could figure out why, so they threw me on life support drip to make sure that I wasn't going to lose it or be lost, and ended up with all kinds of tests and ended up in the hospital for 4 whole days. After that, they decided I was well enough to go home. So off I truck home. 3 hours later, everything starts back up again, just like clockwork. Back in the ambulance, second ride into the hospital. 3 more days in emergency, and again on drips and getting rehydrated and figuring out what was going on, getting this AFib of mine under control. It was just, oh joy, oh bliss, not so much. So that's fine and dandy. There goes infusion number 4, all to hell in a basket. And I figured, well, I'm well enough to do infusion 5 because it wasn't for another whole week yet. And I figured, well, that's great. Let's go do infusion number 5 and get it done. Well, same thing. Off we went. Same thing. After the first week, going down on the second week, the second day into it, I'm starting to vomit again. So back in the ambulance we go. And AFib kicks in yet again. This time, however, I was fortunate enough to have a brand new cardiologist just waiting for me in the ICU. I'm exaggerating. They weren't waiting for me. They were just on duty, but they decided, well, you know what? Because this is your second go around, or third, I should say, why don't we just take you down off of prednisone slowly the next time? So here we are, final infusion number 6. And I'm very happy to report I'm at the very tail end of that come down. And we started at 100, as is usual for anybody on RCHOP, and we dropped by increments of 20. Well, I'm not saying any of this is going to happen to you, and I certainly pray it does not happen to you. But in, again, my little arrogance, thinking I was going to get off scot-free, not a chance. So things do happen when you're on chemotherapy. It's not always a walk in the park. And I am going to actually end my video series by doing one last video with some conclusions and what I've actually learned about chemo. Suffice it to say, though, it's been quite the journey. I'm really praying that my scan comes up clear because, as you know or do not know yet, depending on where you're at in your journey, you probably will have a PET scan at the end of 4 or 5 weeks after your chemo is done to make sure that all the nasty little cancer cells are gone by, or as some smart Alex might say, bye Felicia, because that's about how I feel about cancer these days. Can't wait to hopefully get a clear scan. But if it's not clear, then I'm not going to panic either. There are other options out there, and there are maintenance programs, and there are things that can help along. So I plan on remaining as humanly positive as possible. And just a little tip for you to end this off. If you decide that you want to have a lot of support in your life, then I started a messenger group for myself, my family, my friends to keep everybody up and in the loop every step of the way. And it has helped me immensely. I've had so many great comments, prayers, thoughts, chuckles even. You need to have a few laughs because if you don't, you're going to end up just driving yourself around the bend. So everybody jumps on my messenger whenever I post something, and it really makes me feel good. You can suffer in silence, as they say, and say nothing to anybody and travel this road alone, but I wouldn't advise it. I think it's so much better to have a village to look after you than to try and do everything by yourself. So that's my little helpful hint for ending off this video. I hope you've learned something. I hope it never happens to anybody else that I ever hear of. And if you have experiences you want to share with us, by all means, make some comments. It'd be nice for other people to know how you handled it. Well, my friends, ciao for now. I'm Glenn. This is Glen's Hangout. We'll talk soon. Bye.